Happiest of Fridays to everybody. It's wonderful to be back here in real time. Let's enjoy ourselves during this 45-minute flow style class. Grab a cushion or a towel roll if you feel like you want some extra padding for when we're on all fours. Remember to move at a pace that makes sense for your own body. We're all going through our own adventures right now, so listen to your body and make sure you are moving through ranges and difficulty levels that make sense for you. And let's go ahead and get ourselves started. We'll get up to our mat. If you do have that cushion, it's going to go off to one side where you can grab it in a little while. I'll cue you when that might be helpful. And let's go ahead and step toward the back portion of our mat, and we'll bring our heels shoulder width apart. So we get a couple, maybe 1.5 to 2 feet between heels. We're going to point our toes outward toward the front bottom corners of our room. Settle the weight into your heels and let's spread our toes away from each other. So big toes come in, pinky toes go out. And as we stretch our toes away from each other, we're going to bend our knees a little bit and soften up that stance. So we have our tailbone pointing down toward the floor. Let's imagine there's a string pulling from the tailbone all the way up and out through the crown of the head, attaching up to the ceiling. I want you to close your eyes if you feel safe doing so. And imagine that string pulling up to the ceiling and letting us have a little more space between each segment from head to tail. With those eyes closed, we're going to notice any kind of sway that might be introduced into our situation. So we may notice a little bit of forward back rocking, a little bit of shifting from foot to foot, a little more emphasis on the outside or the inside of each foot. Just pay attention to what you notice in your own bodies. And then let's open up our eyes, which might counter that sway. It might let us get a little bit more still. From here, let's take a big breath in. Exhaling, we're going to draw belly and spine toward each other as if we're tightening a seatbelt around those muscles that go from the lowest ribs to the front and the top of the pelvis. Let's shrug and release our shoulders, sliding the blades up and down along the back of that trunk, along the back of that rib cage, toward the ears and toward the waistline. And then let's squeeze our blades together behind the back and then release them. Squeeze and release. 2 more times. Squeeze and release. And squeeze and release those blades. We're going to look up to the ceiling and down toward that neck. Again, try and keep the rest of our body nice and still as the head moves. We'll look straight forward. We'll give our chin a little nod and then turn. We'll look to one side and then to the other. Find your side wall, and then maybe if there's a little bit more rotation available, we might be able to see a little bit of that wall behind us. Looking straight forward, we'll tip our head side to side, ear to shoulder, lengthening out through the opposite side of the neck. Remembering we're taking it through a range that feels relatively comfortable right now. We're looking to avoid any sharp pains, sharp pinches. Bring that head up nice and tall, and let's take a big breath in again. As we inhale, we take our arms overhead. As we breathe out, those arms come out to the sides and down by the body. Again, let's take those arms up and overhead. We'll clasp our fingers, turn the palms to face the ceiling, and then let's press our elbows straight as we can get them. We're going to try to line up our upper arms with our head. Let those shoulder blades slide down the back side of the body again as best we can. And we're going to take a nice tall side bend, reaching the palms and the crown of the head up and over toward the top of each wall to our side. Press through your foot on that side to pop the trunk up and over to the other side. Then we do the same thing. Press up, breathe out to the side. Press up and breathe out to that opposite side wall. Press everything up nice and tall. We open our arms out to T with the palms facing down toward the floor. Let's aim to get our hands lined up with our shoulders here. Elbows are going to stay straight as we let those fingertips drop toward the floor. And then we turn our palms to face our side walls, fingertips pointing up to the ceiling. Point down and point up. Point down and point up. A little length through those forearms. We're going to bring those palms to face the screen. So hands are in front of us, wrists are at shoulder level. And again, we point our fingertips down and up and down and up. Arms come down by the sides. Let's give our wrists a little shake, our elbows a little shake, and our shoulders a little bouncing shrug. All right, let's narrow up our base of support. Heels are lined up with our sit bones, so they're a few inches rather away from each other. Fingertips and thumbs are going to circle that waistline. So the web space between our finger and our thumb, our index and our thumb, is going to be right at the side of our waist. We press our fingertips and our thumbs toward each other. And from here, again, we're going to engage belly and spine. And as we draw them toward each other, we'll feel a little tension underneath our fingertips as those muscles grow taut. Let's shift our weight forward toward our toes and backward toward our heels, moving in a range where the toes and the heels stay firmly planted on the mat. We're going to feel different parts of the lower half of our bodies engage, those shins, those calves, our feet. We may even feel a little bit of shifting in tension through our fingertips right up in those core muscles. Let's bring our weight back over the front of our ankles, and we'll push our weight from foot to foot, moving the body as one unit from the ankle all the way up through the crown of the head. Feel those oblique muscles kicking into the fingertips. They're kicking it on both sides. It's just a little bit different depending on where we're bearing our weight. Let's make some circles around that base of support, using our ankle joints as our pivot point. Big toe, pinky, and heel stay pressed into the floor, and we feel those muscles underneath our fingers turning on and off at different points in the circle. Shift the weight toward the toes. Let's pause here and take a breath. As we breathe out, we move our circle in the opposite direction, again, feeling those muscles turn on and off underneath our fingertips and underneath our thumbs. We feel our glutes wake up a little, our hamstrings, and now let's take our weight over the balls of the feet. Again, we press our big toe and our pinky firmly into the floor. Let's see if we can come forward a little bit further and let our heels hover up off the mat. It shouldn't be much of an effort to let those heels come up if we are balanced over the ball of our foot. Maybe we have enough control to take our weight up and down, again, with the weight over the balls of the feet. We may be lifting and lowering just a couple of millimeters. We may be taking our lift all the way up to the toes. Let's bring our heels down, shift the weight back over those ankles, and shake out the legs, removing those hands from the waist. We'll shake out and open and close those fingertips as well. Let's bring our feet again, shoulder width apart. They're going to stay parallel to each other this time. And we'll take our pinkies, rest the pinkies and the pinky side of the hands right where our thighs fold into our pelvis. Let's tuck our elbows in by the sides. Take a big breath in. Breathing out, we again engage belly and spine toward each other. And with the elbows tucked by the sides, tip that trunk forward. We're moving from our hips with the tailbone going back and the crown of the head reaching toward our screening. Feel some length behind the thighs. And then let's squeeze our glutes. We're going to feel our outer hip bones activate here. All those muscles right beneath our hip bones. And then from here, keeping the fingertips right at that fold, take your tailbone up and down the wall behind. Get some length through the backs of those thighs. We're going to come right back down to a little bit of a crouch. And then let's reach our fingertips toward the floor, palms face in. Bend the elbows, take them right up into the waistline and squeeze the blades. Release those hands toward the mat. Squeeze and release. Squeeze and release. Tuck the elbows in by the sides and let's press the arms straight. Reach those fingertips back. Bend the elbows. Press and bend. Press and bend. Press the arms straight and then sweep them down toward the ankle bones. Let's come up nice and tall, taking our arms up into a Y or a high V, and we breathe in here. As we exhale, those arms come down by our sides, and let's go ahead and grab our cushion if you have one, and let's get ready to make our way down to the floor. We'll take the cushion to the center of our mat, turn and face it, and then back up a touch so that when we get down to all fours, our toes will be where they are and our knees will be resting right on that extra padding. Inhale here. As we breathe out again, we soften up our knees. We take our tailbone back and slide the hands down toward the ankle bones before making our way down to our mat. Walk the hands forward, lower those knees right down, adjusting our cushion as needed. We're going to keep the balls of the feet on the floor, and notice we might get a little stretch through the toes, the big toes in particular. Let's rock the bottom back toward the heels and then pull right back up into our all fours position. Rock back and forth. Notice a little bit of pressure through the big toe, maybe a touch of a stretch through the sole of the foot and the lower portion of our calf as we continue to rock. We'll come up nice and tall here with wrists and shoulders, knees and hips lined up. Draw your belly toward the ceiling and let's curl that lower body toward cat, looking toward the thighs. Reverse it, the tailbone to the ceiling and the breastbone comes forward for cow. Curl to cat. Lengthen through to cow. One more time, curl to cat. Lengthen to cow. We come back to neutral, reset belly to spine, and again, draw the bottom back toward the heels, lengthening through the sole of the foot, the big toe, and maybe even a little bit of the lower calf. We're going to gently press the heels of our hands into the mat as if we're going to draw them toward our knees, but nothing's going to move. We'll feel the undersides of those shoulder blades starting to engage here. And holding this position, again, we curl through cat, gently tucking the tail between the legs. We're going to notice a little more low back engagement here. Reverse to cow with the tailbone toward the ceiling and the breastbone coming up toward the wall in front of us. Curl to cat, low back cat, and low back cow. One more time, low back cat, Low back cow, and let's come right back to our upright all fours position and turn the tops of the feet down toward the mat. Give your chin a little nod toward the neck, and we'll turn that head. We should feel a pretty comfortable neck position here. We should be able to turn the head without a lot of extra strain on the neck. Let's keep that core engaged as we tap our toes out beyond the borders of the mat and then cross one ankle over the other. Warming up our rotator hip muscles. They do a bit of work from us during this class, so let's make sure they're ready to move. Bring those shins parallel to each other again. We hold here, take a big breath in. Exhaling, we bring those big toes together, our knees apart, and press the bottom back toward the heels. Let's slide or walk our hands toward the head of the mat. Find some length and some stretch at the outer borders of those shoulder blades, maybe under the armpits. If you feel a lot of pulling or like guitar strings in the armpits, I want you to back off on that range. Otherwise, we can inch our hands forward and then lower that forehead down to rest it on the mat or as close as we can get to it. Let's rock our breastbone. Turn that trunk gently from side to side, opening up the outer border of those armpits and those shoulder blades on the side we're rotating away from. Coming back to center, we drop to our forearms, letting the elbows bend. And then let's shift our weight over those forearms and take the cushion out from underneath us. We're going to place it again at the side of our mat. Lengthen the legs back behind the body. And we come to rest mid-thigh here. We'll lift the back of the head slightly toward the ceiling, aiming the crown of the head toward the top of that wall in front of us. Big breath in here. Exhaling, press through those elbows and lift up till we're resting just above our kneecaps on the lower portion of our thighs. We're going to keep that core active, and we should feel some activity through our abdominals and the front side of our trunk here. Let's push the weight through our forearms, shifting our body weight from side to side. Again, engaging through that core. Come on back to center, take a breath. And breathing out, we turn to face our screen, tuck the forearm underneath the body, and roll onto our backs. Resting our hands by our sides, we're going to line up our heels with our sit bones, so there's a little space between our ankles, our knees, and our pelvis. Let's picture a clock face on our midsection. We take a big breath in here, and exhaling, draw belly to spine. Take your pubic bone, shorten it toward the breastbone as we flatten our low back. That's moving toward a 12 o'clock pelvic position. Reverse that, taking the tailbone toward the heels, maybe allowing the low back to lift off the floor for 6 o'clock. Curl to 12 and reverse to 6. Maybe take one hand to your breastbone as we curl between 12 and 6. We're going to do our best to keep that breastbone nice and still and resting with the middle back right underneath that breastbone, right underneath the rib cage, pressing gently into the floor. Bring that pelvis back to neutral. The hands are back by our sides again. We roll our pelvis away from our screen, lifting that screen side hip up off the mat. There's 3 o'clock. Roll through the center, take that far side of the pelvis, lift it up, rotating the pelvis toward our screen for 9 o'clock. Roll through neutral and rock to 3. Roll through neutral all the way over to 9 o'clock. We'll bring ourselves right back to center, taking a big breath in. As we exhale, we maintain belly to spine, give the chin a little nod toward the neck, and float the arms to the ceiling. Let's bring one knee up to 90 degrees, the other knee up to meet it in tabletop with the shins parallel to each other. Press the hands and thighs toward each other, dropping the shoulders away from the ears. And with every bit of pressure that we add, we're going to notice a little more engagement through the front of the body. Straighten the knees, big breath in. Exhale, bend them back to that tabletop position. Inhale and straighten, exhale and bend. Inhale, straighten, exhale, bend, and one more time. Inhale, straighten those legs. Exhaling, we bend them back to 90 degrees. Take the screen side hand, press it right into the opposite hand that's resting on the far knee. Keep that pressure there, breathe in again, and exhaling, we stretch our free leg forward to the wall. Inhale it back to tabletop. Exhale, press. Inhale to tabletop. 2 more times. Exhale, press. Inhale to tabletop. Exhale, press that leg forward 1 more time. Breathing back to tabletop, we switch our hands. Place the palm of one hand right on the thigh of the other. Place the palm of the other hand on that first hand. As we press our hands into our thigh, we're going to feel that activity through the trunk. Breathe in here and exhale. Our free leg presses to the wall in front, and then we inhale it back to tabletop. Exhale and press. Inhale to tabletop. Exhale, press. Inhale to tabletop, and one final time. Exhale, press. We're going to hold that leg outstretched and lower it down to the mat. Draw the bent knee into the body, releasing that core. releasing the hip and lowering our shoulders down toward the mat. Big breath in. As we exhale, we're going to draw that bent knee across the body, allowing the hip on the screen side to lift up, and we're wiggling, letting that pelvis rotate toward our far wall. Inhale, center, breathing out, we switch legs, lengthen that other leg out along the mat. When the back of the knee presses down, we pull our bent knee across the body. Again, wiggling into that other hip, wiggling the pelvis toward our screen. Breathing back to center, we hang on to our shin with those fingers clasped. We roll our shoulders up, back, and down. Give a little nod, look toward that knee on the bented side, and let's hover our straight leg off the mat. Take it side to side for 4, 3, move in a range where the rest of the body stays nice and still. The motion's coming from that hip joint. Stability is coming from the core. Circle the wall in front with that leg for 4, for 3, 2, 1. Take a big breath in. Exhaling, we roll our circle in the opposite direction. There's 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale right back to meet that other knee. And breathing out, we press our opposite leg forward, holding our hovered position. Roll the shoulders up, back, and down. Stretch that straight leg toward the wall in front, and we move it side to side. There's 4, 3, 2, and 1. And we circle that wall in front, maintaining belly to spine. 2, 1. Breathe. Exhaling, we take that circle the other direction. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower the leg to the mat, hang on behind the lifted thigh, and kick that thigh forward into the hands. Stretch those toes up to the ceiling, straighten the knee, and bend. Straighten and bend, straighten to the ceiling. Find your hamstring length from the sit bone all the way up to the back of the knee. Add a little ankle wiggle if you have a little more room to move. If you want to move the ankle but don't have it with that knee straight, give the knee a little bit more of a bend. That'll give you a little more slack. Point those toes to the ceiling, hold them there, and hover that straight supporting leg up off the mat. Keep your lifted leg still. With the arms down by our sides, we lower and lift the hovered side. 4, 3, draw those ribs down to the mat. 1, hovered leg comes to the floor, and we take our lifted leg from side to side. Move it through a range where the bones in the back of the pelvis stay nice and still and pressed into our mat. Those shoulders, those forearms are helping aid with stability. Circle the ceiling. There's 4. Circle 3, 2, and big breath in at the top. Taking that exhale, we move our circle the other direction for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Draw that knee into the body, give it a hug, flex and point that ankle. Let's hug our other knee into the body and slide that first leg out along the mat. Flip the grip, hang on behind the lifted thigh, and kick the thigh into the hands. Straighten and bend that knee, finding your hamstring length. Straighten up to the ceiling, we wiggle through our ankle. 4, 3, again, bend the knee if necessary. Point the toes to the ceiling. Keep that core engaged, hover the supporting leg up off the floor, straighten it out as best you can, and the arms come down by the side. Lower and lift that hovered leg, keeping a little pressure from the hands down on the mat this time. Lower the hovered leg, and we take our lifted one out to each side. There's 4. Bend the knee if you need a little more slack and a little more freedom of movement through the hip. Twice more. Out and across. Out and across. And let's roll through our circles. Here's 4. Feel free to start small and increase the range. Feel free to keep that knee bent if necessary. Breathe in at the top, and then exhaling, we take our leg the other direction. Circle for the gate. Like, here's 3. Last 2. And breathe in at the top, again, hanging on behind that lifted thigh. Bend the knee and briefly hug it into the body. We're again going to kick the thigh into the hands and stretch our toes up, finding that hamstring length. Widen your collarbones away from the center of the body and hover the other leg up off the mat. We're going to reset belly to spine, switch legs. Inhale, switch. Exhale, switch. Again, the goal is to move from those hip joints. Everything else stays as still as we can. One more time, switch it up And switch, hug those knees into the body, release those ankles, give them a little roll or a couple little shakes, you decide. And we rock the body from side to side, massaging out that low back. As we come back to center, we allow the low back to melt into the floor. Let's hold it here. Grab onto those kneecaps, guide the legs right back to our tabletop position. Touch of pressure through those thighs. Reach the arms to the ceiling and lengthen those knees, stretching the toes upward as well. Open those feet out to the sidewalls for V. Bring those feet together. Open, take them together. Open up, take them to center. Open to V. Hold the V and we bend our knees. Toes are touching in the center. We're holding frog here, taking another breath in. Belly to spine on the exhale. We hold. Inhale here to prepare. And as we breathe out, both feet press forward to the top of the wall in front of us. Inhale to frog. Exhale, press. Inhale to frog. Exhale and press. And one more time. Inhale, frog. Exhale, press. Hug those knees into the body. And rock side to side. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Come on back to center. Grab the knees and we'll take those feet toward the floor. Let's take our arms down by our sides and we're going to flip our palms to face the ceiling. Spin your thumbs back so you can keep those thumbs on the floor as well. Slide the arms out to the side. I want you to pause at the first point where you feel some stretch through the chest. The arms may be very close to the sides here. They may be all the way out to T. They might be a touch higher toward a high V or Y position. There's absolutely nothing better or worse inherently about any of these 3 positions. It's where you start to feel the stretch through those chest muscles. We're going to hold that position, take a big breath in. And as we breathe out, we nod the chin toward the neck. We drop our middle back toward the floor. We drop our lowest ribs toward the floor. If that's tough to think about engaging through the bottom of the rib cage and dropping that area to the mat. From here, we turn our head, look toward the screen, feel the far side of the trunk open up. Breathing in, we look back to our ceiling, and then exhaling again, we turn to look over the opposite shoulder. Inhale, head faces the ceiling again, and we bring our hands up to meet the ceiling with the palms facing in and our shoulder blades resting on the floor. Walk the ankles and knees in toward each other. Reset belly to spine, and let's gently rock that lower half of the body from side to side. Keep your feet on the floor. Allow your hips to lift up on the side we're moving the body away from. This is a touch of oblique activity. It's also a nice rhythmic motion if you've been having discomfort in your low back, just to kind of be able to activate the muscles enough that we ease up on those joints. All right, let's come back to center. The arms come back down by our sides. We're going to walk our feet slightly apart and then walk the heels in toward the sit bones. Big breath in here and exhale, belly to spine. Squeeze those glutes. We're going to lift our hips toward the ceiling, toward bridge. Pausing again when we first start to feel a stretch through our thighs. Hold at the top of the motion, lengthening the knees toward the wall in front and resetting belly and spine toward each other. Let's take that sit bone area, lengthen down toward the heels as we lower the hips toward the mat. Tap the floor, squeeze and lift right back up. We'll lower and tap, squeezing and lifting for the next few moments, taking time, moving at a pace that makes sense for you, that allows you to feel the stretch through the front of the thighs. Enough time that you're allowing yourself to feel the glutes engage and maybe even those hamstrings engage a bit. Lower and lift. We hold our bridge. Press those shoulders into the mat. Let's go up and on our toes. There's 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Heels come down. Take that breath. And breathing out, we lengthen the body down toward the mat. Release the glutes at the bottom and let's take those knees side to side. One more time on each. Knees come to the ceiling again. Take that big breath in. Belly to spine on the exhale. Squeeze the hips and let's lift up to our bridge position. Hold at the top of your motion where we feel the most effort through the rear end without pulling into our low back. One at a time, we take a knee out toward each side wall. Toes stay on the mat. Hips stay lifted. Side to side. For 4, 3, switch 2, and 1. Inhale to center and breathing out, we lower that body down. Release those glutes at the bottom and give the knees a side to side rock. There's 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale to center, exhale, belly and spine toward each other. We squeeze and lift those hips right back up toward the ceiling. Press the far foot into the mat and we move to a march with our opposite leg. Switch sides. Shoulders are helping, hands are helping, heels are pressing into the floor. March it out for 4, for 3, last 2, and 1. Press that final foot into the mat. Squeeze and lift the hips with a big breath in. Exhaling, we lengthen that body down. We release at the bottom and rock the knees from side to side. Inhale back to center, and then exhaling, cross your screen side leg over the other knee. Ankle and knee are touching. If you have more slack remaining with the shoulders able to stay on the floor, we can lift up and find that figure 4. Give the body a little rock. Take it side to side, feeling the stretch move a little bit as we do so. Come on back to center, unwind. Ankle to knee on the other side. Again, if we have a little more to give, we can lift into figure 4. Otherwise, that foot stays on the mat. And we rock. That rock away from the cross side is also a nice way to ease yourself into a figure 4 stretch if this is a tough position for you. The other thing you could do is bring your knees a little closer to each other. Sometimes that'll take some pressure off the inner thigh on the crossover side if that's a tough one for you. Coming back to center, we'll unwind, give the knees another hug into the body, circle those ankles, and then we'll take our feet back down to the mat. Let's turn toward our screen. Again, go ahead and grab your cushion if you want to use it. Take it to the center of the mat and meet me up on all fours. Let's settle up here. Wrists and shoulders, knees and hips are lined up with each other, and the tops of the feet are pressed into the mat. Take a big breath in, and exhaling, we engage belly and spine toward each other, finding those seatbelt muscles around our waistline. Keep those muscles active. Squeeze your blades together. Shoulder blades come together. Breastbone comes toward the mat. And then we press forward. Squeeze back. Press forward. Squeeze back. Press forward and squeeze together. Press them toward the floor. We're going to take our screen side hand right up to the same side thigh. Squeeze and press the opposite shoulder blade, pushing firmly through the heel of the hand. Press 3. Press 2. And press 1. Switch sides. Far hand comes to the thigh. Press that screen side heel of the hand on the mat. We squeeze and press. Squeeze and press. Last 2. And press. Take that second hand down to the mat. Curl up through cat. Reverse lengthening through cow. Come on back to the center. Slide the screen side leg back. Let's arc that leg out to the side. Press the foot into the floor and lengthen the inner thigh down to the mat. We're going to feel length through that inner thigh from the pubic bone, potentially all the way down to that knee. We can hold this position or we can add a rock back, bottom coming back down toward the heel. Take it back and forth. Last 2. One more time, rock it back. Take it up, slide that leg back, draw it into center, and let's take our screen side arm out to the screen. Rotate the breastbone toward the screen, opening the hand toward the ceiling. We take a breath. Breathing out, thread the needle, reach through to the opposite wall. One more time, arm comes up and out. Thread that needle, reach through to the far wall. Take your hand back to the floor, and we slide our opposite leg behind the body. Let's arc that leg toward the far wall and press the foot firmly into the mat, lengthening that inner thigh down toward the floor as well. Hold it here or add the rock backs. There's 4. Rock 3. Last 2. And one more time. Come on back up nice and tall. Slide the leg back behind the body and then draw it in to meet the other. As we take another inhale, we float our opposite arm out to the far wall. Spin the breastbone toward the wall and reach the hand to the ceiling. Exhale, thread the needle, reaching through toward the screen. One more time, that arm comes up and out. Thread it through and place that hand back down on the mat. Press your blades toward the floor and give your tail a side-to-side wag. Coming back to center, straighten the legs back. We're going to find our plank position and shift through the weight. We're going to take our arms, shift through those arms, shifting our weight side to side. I figure out how to say that eventually. Come on back to center. The toes tap one at a time, just beyond the outer border of our mat. Take it back to plank. Our knees come back down to the mat, and we move to shoulder taps, taking one hand at a time, right up to the opposite shoulder. Keep tapping. If you do want to make it harder, bring your hands to the outer edges of the mat. Tap for 4, 3, 2, and last one. Hands come right back down. Walk them slightly forward, and then shift the shoulders over those elbows and wrists. We notice that our hips are open a little bit closer to the floor now. Let's reset belly to spine, and we move to taps again. Notice that opening through the hips challenges our stability a little bit more. Final tap, hands come down, turn the toes under, and we press right back up to plank again. Widen your stance a bit with those feet. Take the tailbone toward the ceiling. Bend your knees as needed to press back and line up your elbows and your ears. Big breath in here. Exhaling, keep that core engaged. Maybe we lengthen our heels down toward the floor and walk those feet out a bit. Straighten one as we bend the other. Coming back to center, drop the heels. Inhaling up to the toes and breathing out, we come forward to plank again. Take the knees back down to the mat. Toes come together, knees come apart, and we rock the bottom back to our heels. Again, we drop to our forearms. We can lift up the hands this time, shake those wrists out of touch, and then slide the fingertips toward the head of the mat. Lower the forehead, take a big breath in here, and exhaling, we walk our hands toward our screen. Cross one thumb over the other. Pause here, take a big breath into the opposite side of the body. Exhaling, we can walk around to the other side. Thumb over thumb, take that big breath in. Breathing out, we walk forward, drop to the forearms, and shift the weight over those elbows. Take the cushion out from under your knees, and again, come to rest on those thighs, just like we did during our warm-up. We're going to hold here and reset belly to spine. Give the chin a little nod, sending the crown of the head up to the top of the wall in front of us. Bend one knee, kick your heel with control to the bottom, and then switch to the other side. We're aiming to move the knee while keeping the hip and that low back nice and still. To challenge it, if you want to make it harder, 2 quick kicks. Challenges our ability to maintain that nice still position at the hips and the low back. Press into the hands, take a big breath in. Exhaling, we turn toward our screen. Take a seat on the mat and turn lengthwise. So we're facing the opposite direction from where we were. Bend up your knees, get your weight over your sit bones. And we're going to bring our feet to the outer edges of the mat and slide those heels forward. Doing our best to keep trunk and pelvis stacked. If you have some more length through the thighs to give, we can straighten our knees out. I don't want you to do that at the expense of coming back though. So if we need the knees bent to stay upright over the hips, that's where I want you. Slide the fingertips forward. We're going to lift those arms up to that narrow V position with the arms at shoulder level and take a breath. Breathing out, we engage our core and we hover forward. We're going to shift from our hips and reach the hands toward the wall in front of us. Inhale up nice and tall, and then breathing out, we shift forward. Inhale up tall, exhale, hinge forward, and inhale up tall. Now we open the arms out to the sides. Wiggle your thumbs. I want you to still see your thumbs in your peripheral vision here. Breathe in again, and breathing out, we engage belly to spine. Turn from the breastbone, rotate toward the screen. Rotate away. Rotate toward the screen. And rotate away. Coming right back to center, we take our hands down. Bring those feet together, shake the legs out, and then bend up the knees. We're doing our best still to line up our heels with our sit bones, and we'll take our hands to the outer border of our knee joints. Tuck the elbows in by the waistline and press your hands and knees together. We'll open up those elbows, leaning that body back, find the trunk. Open and close one arm at a time. Keep a bit of pressure as we reach the arm out to the opposite wall. Open and close. Repeat here for 4, for 3, for 2, and for 1. Coming back to center, we pull that body up tall. And let's take our hands back slightly behind our rear end with the fingertips pointing out to our side walls. Straighten out your elbows here and lean back just a bit, allowing your head to come back along for the ride. We'll squeeze our glades And if we have more slack to give, walk those hips forward towards your heels. We're going to feel a bicep stretch right in the front of the upper arm. We're going to get to the point where we feel a chest stretch. What we're trying to avoid is hunching forward through our shoulders. So we want to press those blades back, keep a little squeeze in the blades. If you have a little more room to give, we walk our heels back a little closer to the bottom, send the breastbone up the wall, and unweight those hips, moving toward a tabletop position. Hold 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and we lower that bottom. Sit up nice and tall, give your wrists a little shake, and then gently bend and straighten those elbows as well. We can roll our shoulders back and down, and we can also tip that head from side to side. All right, let's move toward our screen, turn toward our screen, and come down, resting the head on that bottom arm. Knees are forward, heels are lined up at the bottom, and our hand goes to the underside of the waistline where we lift up. Keep that top hand on the hip until I tell you to move it as best you can. If you do need extra support, we can bring the hand down to the mat. Let's float our top knee up and down. Moving out of that hip joint, we're doing our best to keep everything else nice and still. Lift and lower, hydrants here. Lift the whole lower leg, it stays bent. 2 more. Last one, back to hip height. Top toes stay still, bottom toes come up to meet them. 2. Glue those toes together, and again, our top knee comes up and down. 3. We have to move through a little bit more range in rotation here. And 1. Knees come down and feet come down. Now we press our top hand into the mat and lift our knees up together. Glue them together. 3, 2, 1. Straighten those legs out. Hold them here. Top leg comes up to hip height. We flex that foot, swing it forward, point it back. Flex it forward, point it back. 2 more. Flex forward, point back. Flex forward, point back. Toes come down and up. Maybe we can bring our hand back to the hips. 2 and 1. Hold them up there. Slide your bottom leg back to line up with the top leg. Press your top hand into the mat, and the bottom leg comes up and down. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring that top leg up. 7, 6. You can keep the bottom leg lifted. 4, 3, 2, 1. Everything comes down. Bend the knees up and give your hip a pat. Let's reach toward the screen and bring that hand to the ceiling. Look to the fingertips with another breath. Exhale, open book, turn your breastbone toward that ceiling. Inhale, arm up, and exhale forward. Let's bring ourselves up and over to our other side. We're in the home stretch. If you need to use that cushion to give you either your hip a little support or your head a little support, go ahead and move that cushion now. Knees are forward, we lift our waistline, and the hand comes to the top of that hip. That top knee goes up and down. There's 4, 3, lift 2, and 1. Bring the knee down. We move to hydrants. 4, 3, 2, 1. Back to hip height. Top leg stays still. Bring the bottom toes up to meet the top ones. 2. Hold them together. Top knee comes up. 3, 2, and 1. Knees come down and feet come down. Top hand presses into the floor. Lift those knees for 4, 3, 2, 1. Legs come down. Straighten the legs out. We lift our top one to hip level. Flex that top foot. Kick the leg forward and draw it back. Flex it forward. 1 kick or 2. Draw it back. Flex it forward. Point it back. 1 more time. Flex forward. Point it back and hold it there. Hands stay still or come to the hip. Toes come down and up. 1. Hold them up at the top. Again, we take our top hand to the mat. Slide the bottom leg back a little. Lift it up and down. There's 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Hold it up there. Top leg up. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Legs come down. We bend our knees and give that hip a little round of applause. Hand comes toward the screen, and then we bring it toward the ceiling. Inhaling, look to those fingertips, and then we exhale into open book, reaching the hand toward the back wall, the breastbone toward the ceiling, and maybe that hand now down toward the mat. Inhale up and exhale forward. Let's go ahead and turn ourselves over onto our backs. Bend the knees up and stretch the hands to the ceiling. As we exhale next, we nod the chin and we take those hands back overhead toward the wall behind us. If you have a little more room to move, we can slide those thumbs down toward the floor, pressing our middle back into the mat, aiming for a stretch through the armpit and the outer borders of our shoulder blades. Open the arms out to T. Place the hands on the mat at that angle that lets you get the chest stretch, and we turn our head looking toward the screen and toward the far wall, and then right back to center. Ankles and knees come together. Keep the feet on the floor. Rock those knees from side to side as we allow our hip to lift up on the opposite side. Knees to the screen and knees away. Come on back to the center. Our hands come down by our sides. We cross one ankle over the other leg. Lift if you have the slack to do so, with the shoulders and neck staying on the mat. And we give that body a rock from side to side. Come on back to the middle. We'll unwind and repeat on the other side. Lift, rock. Big breath in. Exhale, center, unwind. Give those knees a hug into the body. Roll your ankles one direction, and then we'll roll them the other. Let's take our feet to the floor. Roll to face the screen. We're going to bring ourselves over into a crouched position, knees off the mat, and we walk our hands nice and slowly and steadily back toward our feet. Let's rise once we're over the front of our ankle joints. Take a moment once we reach standing to get your bearings, make any adjustments you need to make, and then let's meet in the center of our mat. If you'd like something steady to hold on to work on balance, go ahead and bring yourself to it or bring something to you now. We'll bring our hands to our waistline or one hand to that supporting surface. Let's shift to one foot and find our our tandem balance, heel to toe standing. Getting ahead of myself here. Once we're balanced in that narrow base, if you want to make it more challenging, turn your head. Face the screen, we'll shift back and find single leg balance. Hold it here, hold for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And let's take that foot down, shift our weight toward it, and give that supporting leg that we just stood on a little bit of a wiggle. Okay, get situated, find your stability base if you need it. Otherwise, hands are on the waistline, and we find our heel toe standing position on the other side. Again, if you want more of a challenge, turn your head. And face forward. Shifting to that back leg. Find your single leg balance, hold it here. Maybe we turn our head here. All right, fight for that position. Hold 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Take those feet down, heels or shoulder width apart. Give everything a little shake, arms, legs, knees, hips, shoulders, toes, all that good stuff. We'll settle our weight back to our heels and breathe the shoulders up to the ears. Big breath in, exhale, drop them. Inhale and shrug, exhale, drop those shoulders. Let's take our arms up and overhead and breathe them out to the sides and down by the body. Bring those feet together. We'll close with one more breath. Arms come out, sweep them up and overhead. Fingertips reach to the ceiling, and as we look up toward those fingertips, let's press our palms together and draw them into center. Great job. Thank you for showing up on a Friday, putting in some work. Hopefully we all have a nice weekend, and I will look forward to seeing y'all again soon. Take care.